heaven, hell, a God of pure goodness, a malevolent force of utter darkness, final judgment where every soul is weighed for its deeds. These are concepts ingrained in the very fabric of the world's major religions, familiar to billions. What if the genesis of these ideas lies not where most believe? What if their architect was a shadowy prophet from ancient Persia, a radical reformer whose name has largely faded from popular memory? In this episode, we embark on a historical and philosophical excavation to unearth the story of Zarathustra, a forgotten prophet who, millennia ago, may have been the first to draw the map of our moral cosmos, giving us the very blueprints of heaven and hell. Chapter 1. The world before light and darkness, too truly. Grasp the seismic shift brought about by Zarathustra, we must first step back into the religious landscape of his time. Imagine the ancient Indo-Iranian world, a tapestry, woven with countless deities, spirits dwelling in rivers and mountains, gods embodying the capricious forces of nature. Their interactions were often complex, driven by motivations as petty or as grand as those of mortals. Rituals were intricate, sacrifices of animals were commonplace, and the use of sacred intoxicants was believed to open pathways to the divine. This was a world of polytheism, a crowded pantheon where morality was often fluid, and the lines between good and evil were blurred. There was no singular, all-powerful creator, no cosmic battle between ultimate good and ultimate evil as we understand it today, and certainly no clearly defined afterlife of eternal reward or punishment for the masses. Death led to a shadowy underworld, a pale imitation of life, rather than a fiery abyss or a celestial paradise. The concept of individual moral responsibility on a grand cosmic scale was largely absent. Fate was often seen as the arbitrary whim of the gods, not the consequence of one's ethical choices. This was the spiritual soil from which Zarathustra's revolutionary vision would sprout. Chapter 2. The vision of the one God and his shadow hour narrative now turns to the pivotal moment of Zarathustra's enlightenment. The exact details of his life remain shrouded in the mists of antiquity, the dates of his birth and death debated by scholars. What we do know comes primarily from the Gathas, a collection of hymns attributed to him within the Avesta, the sacred text of Zoroastrianism. Tradition holds that at the age of 30, while participating in a spring festival, Zarathustra experienced a series of profound visions. In these ecstatic encounters, he was said to have been taken into the presence of Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Wisdom. This was not merely another god in the pantheon. Ahura Mazda revealed himself as the uncreated creator of all that is good, the source of light, truth, and order Ashah. But Zarathustra's revelation went further, introducing a radical duality into the cosmic order. He posited that alongside Ahura Mazda existed an opposing force, Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit, also known as Ahriman in later texts. Angra Mainyu was the embodiment of darkness, falsehood, druge, chaos, and death, the antithesis of all that Ahura Mazda represented. This was a revolutionary concept, a universe defined by an eternal struggle between two fundamental principles: good and evil, light and darkness. This cosmic dualism was a stark departure from the more nuanced and often morally ambiguous interactions of the gods in earlier Indo-Iranian beliefs. For the first time, the universe was presented as a battleground where absolute good and absolute evil were locked in perpetual conflict. Chapter 3. The invention of choice, the birth of free will, perhaps the most transformative aspect of Zarathustra's teachings was the role he assigned to humanity within this cosmic struggle. In the religious systems that preceded him, human beings were often seen as mere playthings of the gods, their destinies dictated by divine decree. Zarathustra shattered this deterministic worldview by proclaiming the radical concept of free will. He taught that every man and woman possessed the inherent power to choose which path to follow, the path of Asha, aligning themselves with the truth and order of Ahura Mazda, or the path of druge, succumbing to the lies and chaos of Angra Mainyu. This was a profound shift in moral responsibility. No longer were individuals simply at the mercy of divine favor or disfavor. Their salvation or damnation was now directly linked to their own ethical choices, their own conscious alignment with good or evil. Every thought, every word, every deed became a moral act, contributing to the ongoing cosmic war. This emphasis on individual agency and moral accountability was a cornerstone of Zarathustra's ethical system, a revolutionary idea that would have far-reaching consequences. What are your thoughts on this concept of radical free will in the context of a cosmic battle? Does this empowerment of the individual resonate with you, or do you find the weight of such responsibility overwhelming? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Chapter 4. The Bridge of the Soul. The first heaven and the first hell. Now we arrive at the heart of our title's promise, Zarathustra's vision of the afterlife. The earliest known articulation of concepts closely resembling heaven and hell, Zoroastrian eschatology. As it developed from Zarathustra's initial teachings, presented a detailed picture of what awaits the soul after death. Central to this vision is the Chinvet Bridge, the bridge of the separator. It was believed that after death, the soul would undertake a perilous journey across this bridge, which spanned the abyss between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. The nature of the bridge would then miraculously transform according to the deeds of the departed. For those who had lived a righteous life, adhering to the principles of Asha, the bridge would widen, becoming easy to traverse, leading them to the house of song or house of best existence, a paradise of light, joy, and eternal bliss, in the presence of Ahura Mazda. Conversely, for those who had embraced the path of Druj, living a life of falsehood and wickedness, the Chinvat bridge would narrow to the width of a razor's edge, becoming treacherous and impossible to cross, causing them to plummet into the house of lies or worst existence, a dark, desolate realm of torment and suffering. This concept of a bifurcated afterlife, where one's moral choices in life directly determine their eternal fate, is a clear precursor to the later Abrahamic notions of heaven and hell. The bridge of the separator served as the ultimate judgment, the moment of reckoning where the scales of good and evil were finally balanced. Thank you for continuing on this journey of discovery with us. We've explored the world before Zarathustra, his revolutionary vision, and the birth of free will. Now we stand at the precipice of understanding his most enduring legacy, the dawn of heaven and hell. Chapter 65 in Legacy. How did the seemingly radical ideas of a Persian prophet, rising in a relatively small corner of the ancient world, come to exert such a profound influence on the religious landscape of civilizations that followed? The answer lies in the intricate web of cultural exchange and the ebb and flow of empires. It's the Achaemenid Persian Empire, which rose to prominence centuries after Zarathustra, became the largest and most powerful empire the world had yet seen. Zoroastrianism was the dominant religion of this vast realm. Its tenets spread throughout its territories, including the Levant, where the ancient Israelites were eventually taken into captivity by the Babylonians, who were themselves under Persian rule. This period of the Babylonian exile is a crucial point of contact. Scholars suggest that during this time, Jewish thinkers were exposed to Zoroastrian concepts such as a cosmic dualism between good and evil, the figure of a powerful adversary akin to Satan, the importance of free will and choosing between these forces, a final judgment, the resurrection of the dead, and the existence of a heavenly paradise and a fiery hell. These ideas, largely absent or only vaguely present in earlier Jewish scriptures, began to take shape and gain prominence during and after the exile. As Judaism evolved and eventually gave rise to Christianity and later Islam, these Zoroastrian-influenced concepts became central to their theologies, forming a fundamental part of the Western spiritual worldview. The irony is that while the names of Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad are known to billions, it's the likely spiritual ancestor of some of their core beliefs, Zarathustra, remains a largely forgotten figure in the West. His invention of a morally polarized cosmos and an afterlife of reward and punishment has shaped the spiritual destiny of countless souls, a testament to the enduring power of an idea, even when its originator fades from the collective memory. Zarathustra may be a name lost to the everyday lexicon of many, but his ideas are anything but forgotten. He provided a foundational framework for understanding the universe and our place within it as a grand moral drama, where our choices have eternal consequences. The architecture of heaven and hell, of a constant struggle between good and evil, which he envisioned, became a cornerstone upon which much of our spiritual world has been built. Knowing that these profound concepts may have such an ancient and unexpected origin compels us to reconsider their history and their meaning. The core message of Zarathustra, the eternal battle between good and evil, waged not just in the cosmos, but within the very soul of each individual, continues to resonate across millennia. What do you make of this hidden history? Does it change your understanding of these fundamental beliefs? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more explorations into the forgotten corners of history. Join us next time as we delve into another fascinating story from the past.